Postman is jailed for a multi-million-pound theft, and we ask, how safe are your letters? He intercepted hundreds of checkbooks with a 200-strong gang helping him. He laundered money and made millions.
Also this evening, in our final hour, the continuing brutal reality of today's Zimbabwe, an exclusive report on another white farmer's eviction.
It is theft of the worst kind, because these are the custodians of the law who had absolutely no right.
It's a hard life. Cherie tells American television what it's like to be the PM's wife.
Honestly, I am no superwoman, and I also know that I'm not unique.
The Iceman cometh, the man who swam the Antarctic.
And Henson banned for the start of the Six Nations. Hello, a very good evening to you and welcome to the ITV News Channel on this, our final hour. A postman who made £20 million by stealing checkbooks has been jailed for 6.5 years. Dido Maya-Bezerika had a criminal past to get his job and then pocketed the letters he was meant to deliver.
Yes, he and other members of his family stole millions and lived the high life. Robin Dwyer reports.
Expensive cars, designer suits, monogrammed shoes and £10,000 watches, all bought with the proceeds from stolen checkbooks. 34-year-old Dido Mayu-Belezika abused his position as a postman to get his hands on hundreds of checkbooks, taking them from the sorting office he worked in. He then farmed them out to a 220-strong gang of money launderers, led by his brother-in-law and right-hand man, Ishiaba Kasonga. Both men lived a life of luxury on the proceeds from their crimes, taking lavish holidays and dining out at expensive restaurants. Between April 2004 and April this year, they took a total of £20 million. Up to £5 million was pilfered from 1,300 mainly Jewish residents in the North London area of Golders Green, one of the capital's most affluent districts.
It's a massive scam, to use that word. We're talking about a very large sums of money right across the country, all led from one fixed point at the beginning, this person stealing all these checkbooks and fanning them out to a network across the whole country where they were laundered through fraudulent check accounts, and a lot of people were making a lot of money out of this.
London's Harrow Crown Court heard Congolese national Mayu-Belezika hid a criminal background to get his job in the post office that gave him access to customers' mail. The former refugee, who lived in North London, also pleaded guilty to 13 charges of using stolen credit cards and asked for 60 similar offences to be considered. He was jailed for 6.5 years for masterminding the fraud. 40-year-old Kasonga, who's also from the West African Republic, was sentenced to 3.5 years after admitting conspiring to conceal criminal property. Robin Dwyer, ITV News.
ITV News has obtained exclusive video footage of Robert Mugabe's thugs turfing white farmers out of their homes and off their land.
Zimbabwe is now relying on food aid because Mugabe's corrupt regime continues to pursue its failed policy of land redistribution.
With its economy ruined, political opposition muzzled, its people in poverty, the world looks away. Our Africa correspondent Neil Connery reports.
Caught on camera, the full force of Zimbabwe's state evicts one of the country's few remaining white farmers. Police and army take whatever they can get their hands on from Peter Henning's farm. His son Greg films what is happening and challenges the police to justify their actions.
I mean, if this is supposed to be legal, then you don't have anything to worry about. It's just your job. Okay.
Police officers help themselves to anything of value on the property. They even bring in a crane to remove the heavy farming equipment. The police ignore the family's pleas to be left on the farm they've built up since 1965.
I'm not sure if you received this letter that my father had written to you. I'd left it at the police station. I left a few copies there, but I'm not sure if you got it. You can take it now if you want.
The deafening silence, proof, if any were needed, that law and order in Zimbabwe has completely broken down.
You don't want it.
Until now, evictions have mainly been carried out by so-called war veterans. But these pictures, exclusively obtained by ITV News, show the first time the police and army have been filmed in the act. The equipment was auctioned off by the police for themselves, a sign of just how desperate Zimbabwe's economic plight has become. After escaping the country, Greg and his dad Peter fled to South Africa, where they've just been reunited with the rest of the family.
Here we've got some senior police officials and Lands Committee, we've got the war vets who've come to collect my equipment on my farm.
The family are now trying to come to terms with the theft of their livelihood and home.
It is theft of the worst kind, because these are the custodians of the law who had absolutely no right to any of this. I mean, it was an outrageous act.
The destruction of Zimbabwe is called a tsunami by those who've suffered from President Mugabe's regime.
They talk about tsunamis. My goodness, this has been a fairly slow one, but it has been as relentless. And how high are the waters going to rise for us?
These pictures show how the country's meltdown continues with no let-up. Like so many here, the Hennings are the latest family left homeless and without work. This is Christmas 2005 in Zimbabwe. Neil Connery, ITV News.
Well, someone who knows the Mugabe regime only too well is Harris Nyatzanza, who is a teacher and who was accused of spreading propaganda in Zimbabwe. And he's now seeking permission to stay in the UK.
Yes, and he joins us now. Thank you ever so much for joining us this afternoon. I mean, we were watching those pictures there of the white farmers being evicted again. What's your reaction to seeing that going on in your country?
Well, it's something that I'm quite familiar with, and glad that at least news channels like yourselves are continuing to show the world what is happening in Zimbabwe when all the independent press and international press has been kicked out of Zimbabwe.
Now, tell us a little bit about your situation. You were a teacher in Zimbabwe, and I understand you were removed from the country because they accused you of spreading propaganda.
Well, I had to leave on my own, for fear for my own life and those of my relatives, and had to come here and seek refuge. Because, yes, the regime viewed teachers as people who were spreading propaganda and, for people to vote against them. And so we were viewed as undesirable elements.
How do you feel about having to leave your country? Must have been a huge wrench for you.
Yes, it is. Coming to a big, country like England and a big city like London, where you virtually you do not know anyone at all, was a difficult decision, and leaving loved ones behind. But I think, for the meantime, that has to be done until Zimbabwe is a safe country for us to go back to.
And what are you hoping to do now? Your plans are to stay here in the UK, or would you like to return to Zimbabwe?
What we are hoping to do at the present moment is to, continue lobbying the international bodies, international, the Western countries to help resolve the situation in Zimbabwe, the economic meltdown, the political meltdown, where people virtually have no freedoms at all left. So that is what we are hoping to do in the meantime until, such a time, and we are hoping it will be soon when it is safe for us to go back to Zimbabwe and contribute to rebuild our country to the status it once had as the breadbasket of Africa.
When you see what's been happening in your country and hear about it from people who are still there, do you feel let down by the rest of the world, by the UK even, and other African countries too?
Yes, indeed, we feel let down. We just think, Zimbabwe has become a subject of talk and no action. I think what is needed is, for action to be put into place. Yes, sanctions, have been put in place, but these have done nothing to help, the ordinary Zimbabwean on the street who are suffering. So perhaps we'd like more action to be done by other African countries, as you rightly say, and by, Western countries like the UK, the US and other European countries. To help us remove this despot in Zimbabwe, Mugabe himself.
Well, we hope things do improve indeed in Zimbabwe. Harris Nyatzanza, thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Let's get more of tonight's news now. And merger plans for the 43 police forces of England and Wales have been snubbed by some top policemen. The government wants to combine the police into as few as 12 forces to make them more efficient and better at fighting terrorism. But less than a third of forces back the plan.
Donald Rumsfeld has revealed that the number of American troops stationed in Iraq is to be reduced. The US Defense Secretary didn't reveal the exact size of the cut, but it's thought it could be as many as 7,000 soldiers.
There's bad news for New Year's Eve revellers in London. Thousands could be left stranded after talks aimed at averting a strike on the Underground ended without agreement. The 24-hour strike is now due to start at noon on the 31st.
Cherie Blair has given a frank insight into her busy life during an appearance on American breakfast television.
Yes, in the interview, the Prime Minister's wife complained she gets a rough deal from some sections of the press. Here's Nazni Mashiri.
Not too shabby having the Prime Minister's
NBC's Katie Couric was clearly impressed by Cherie Blair's knowledge of London.
What we're seeing.
But what we hear is actually the remnants of the Palace of Whitehall.
And we have this gentleman who's here 24/7, and one like him.
One like him, 24/7.
Right.
Cherie Blair showed her the sights as part of this, her first interview on American TV.
The mother of 4 children, the wife of the Prime Minister, and an accomplished attorney.
It is quite an honour. It's chosen for the people who are regarded as leaders in the profession. You have to be regarded as a good advocate and someone who knows the law.
In fact, you're often held up as a superwoman, which is perhaps an expression you despise. On the other hand, I mean, it has been very difficult, I'm assuming, to juggle everything.
Well, Katie, honestly, I am no superwoman, and I also know that I'm not unique. I know you yourself were bringing up children. That's the way it is today as a modern woman.
The interview also included a very in-depth look back at Cherie's highs and lows.
Cherie Blair is called many other things, however. She's been criticized relentlessly in the press from almost the beginning.
Cherie Blair is to make a statement in the next few minutes.
How on earth does Cherie Blair explain?
Cherie Blair left for work from the back entrance of Downing Street today.
Can I just ask you why?
Her hiring of a lifestyle guru was deemed inappropriate. Many Brits find her style not their cup of tea. Unlike the woman
There's been speculation over a possible political career fueled by former President Bill Clinton, who said he would support her if she ran for power. She was pressed on her plans for the future.
Fan of yours, would you ever consider a foray into politics?
No.
No?
No.
Why?
Because I've been there. I'm here at the moment. I don't want to duplicate something my husband's done. I've got plenty of things I want to do on my own right.
Cherie Blair says her appearance was to highlight her role as a London 2012 ambassador. But critics say this was strategically planned to coincide with her upcoming lucrative US speaking tour. Nazni Mashiri, ITV News.
Now let's tell you about something that's happening in 15 minutes' time. We're taking a look back at 5 glorious years of the News Channel.
Yes, at 5:30, Alistair Stewart looks back at the biggest stories we've covered, so don't miss that. That's at 5:30 in just about 15 minutes' time. Worth tuning in for. Stay with us, as Owen rightly says, while you can.
Yes, exactly. Still ahead on the ITV News Channel. I won't say that for a moment much longer. More bad news for Gavin Henson, the rugby star.
Plus, meet Mr. Freeze. Find out how this man is able to swim in sub-zero temperatures. Stay with us.
Please keep these images to remind yourself what these animals looked like, because at the rate they're disappearing, they may soon be gone. Forever. But you could change the future today. Adopt an animal through WWF for £2.50 a month, and you can help ensure the survival of their entire species. Call 0800 316 4111 and you could adopt Etin, whose species numbers have halved. Or Malupoti, one of the last remaining Bengal tigers. Or Jushong, one of less than 1,600 wild pandas left on Earth. They all need your help to survive. So please call WWF on 0800 316 4111 to adopt an animal now. You can change the future today.
It's great to have you with us on this, our final hour of the ITV News Channel. Faye Barker and Owen Thomas with you till 5:30.
Let's take a look at the headlines. A postman who masterminded a £20 million fraud from checkbooks he was meant to deliver has been jailed for 6.5 years.
Exclusive ITV News pictures have shown white farmers still being evicted from their homes in Zimbabwe.
And Cherie Blair has given a frank insight into her life in an interview on American television.
Did London win the 2012 Olympics by mistake? Apparently, our bid only beat Paris and Madrid because the wrong button was pressed during the voting process.
Yes, the allegations have been made by a senior member of the IOC, but they've been rubbished by the London bid team. London Today's Annie Mulhall reports.
Awarded to the City of London.
London's victory came as a surprise to many, especially the French. But it also came as a nasty little shock to this chap, Greek IOC rep Lambis Nikolaou. According to an Israeli IOC member, when voting in the penultimate round, Mr. Nikolaou apparently pressed the wrong button. A slip of the hand meant he registered his vote for Paris instead of Madrid.
Madrid will not participate in
thus sending the Spanish capital out of the contest, leaving London to take on the French. The Israeli member goes on to claim that had this not happened, Madrid would have won the right to host the 2012 Games because the eliminated French would never have reallocated their vote to London. The International Olympic Committee is to investigate the allegations, and while we feel Spain's pain, the bottom line is London. We won. Annie Mulhall, London Today.
Well, we've all done it. Pressed the wrong button and sent an email to the wrong person or deleted something you meant to save. And it's not the first time a bit of finger trouble has led to serious consequences. Early this month, a Japanese trader wiped hundreds of points off the Tokyo stock market, sending traders into a panic, all with a touch of a button. You try to sell shares, one share of a company for 610,000 yen, but instead he sold it for 610,000 shares for 1 yen each. Something like that. Anyway, it cost his company £128 million. A similar thing happened in September 2002 when the FTSE 100 index experienced some wild swings. At one point, it gained and lost 30 points in a matter of minutes after an American trader pressed the wrong button when doing a deal. That mistake cost £100 million in just one day. In November 2001, one man asked the Bank of Ireland to convert 1,500 Irish pounds into 300,000 pesetas and transfer the money to his Spanish bank account. Instead, he was given 300,000 euros, the equivalent of almost £250,000 Irish pounds.
Now, zookeepers in the Isle of Wight have released a picture of missing penguin Toga amid fears that he has already died from a lack of food. The 3-month-old penguin was kidnapped from the Amazon World Zoo Park last Saturday night. An anonymous phone call saying he had been dumped at Portsmouth Dockyard appears to have been a hoax. Zoo staff say that if Toga is still alive, he will certainly die today, unless he can be found. What a shame.
I know, God love him. His parents haven't eaten, apparently, for a week. Somebody find him before Christmas. Now, a British solicitor has set a new world record for long-distance swimming in the Antarctic. Talking about penguins.
Lewis Pugh, yes, he wore just a swimsuit, a cap and goggles in freezing water. Alex Micklewright reports.
It's a stunning environment, but most of us would stop short of stripping off and going for a dip here in Antarctica. But not British solicitor Lewis Pugh. Having achieved the most northern swim in the world just months ago, he's now done the same in the south. Sporting only a swimsuit, cap and goggles, Pugh plunged into the icy waters of 0 degrees Celsius and took just 19 minutes to complete his swim.
That's it, Lewis. Keep it up, come on! It's an incredible feeling when you dive into the waters off Antarctica. I mean, the water is 0 degrees. The most immediate reaction is massive hyperventilation. And then following that, you start losing feeling in all your fingers, all your toes, extreme pain, and then it starts moving up your arms until you can no longer feel your arms and legs.
Pugh has astounded scientists with his ability to raise his body temperature before swimming, allowing him to survive temperatures that only a few people can endure.
All your blood has gone to your core to try and protect your core. It's not the type of place where you'd want to spend a lot of time swimming.
The British solicitor trained for months in an icy pool in Cape Town Harbour to achieve his feat, and he thinks it's been well worth the effort.
It was such an amazing feeling when I got out the water. Because now I hold the record for the swim closest to the South Pole and the North Pole, so that's very, very special for me.
Alex Micklewright, ITV News.
Now it's a bit of an end of an era because we're crossing for the last time to Julia, the lovely Julia, at Traffic Link for our travel. Julia.
However you travel, travel safely this evening.
Good evening, and still very busy on the M25 if you're about to make your way out. We've got queues at the moment going clockwise, junctions 13 to 14, an accident there blocking off one lane. Just round the corner, staying in Surrey, delays on the M3, London bound between junctions 3 and 2, there's an accident. An overturned car, one lane blocked, and traffic queuing back on the southbound carriageway as well. A37 is closed off in Somerset, it shows shut at Bellerton, an accident there causing the problems, and along into Cornwall, we've still got the A39 at Camelford closed off as well. Also queues on the M6, northbound junction 10A, 2 lanes blocked off with an accident and queues back to junction 10. That's your lot, you're on your way home on your own next week. Back to Faye.
The National Accident Helpline, specialist injury solicitors.
Julia, thank you, and a great job they've done at Traffic Link for us, don't you think? Yeah. Well, let's take a look at the sport now, and Welsh rugby star Gavin Henson will miss the first 3 matches of the Six Nations tournament after being found guilty of striking an opponent. The Lions centre has been banned for 10 weeks and 2 days by a disciplinary panel. He'll also miss 1 Celtic League match. But Henson was found not guilty of a second offence of kicking an opponent during last Sunday's Heineken Cup match between the Ospreys and Leicester.
Southampton caretaker boss Dave Bassett has confirmed he'll leave the club following the appointment of George Burley as head coach. The former Hearts boss has been unveiled at a news conference at St Mary's alongside Sir Clive Woodward, who becomes director of football.
Newcastle boss Graham Souness wants Alan Shearer to delay his retirement again. Souness thinks Shearer's still got what it takes to play at the top level. The former England skipper had said he'd retire at the end of this season.
Quickly, weather. Sian.
Hello, good afternoon. The weather's fairly quiet, dry mostly, some sunshine here and there, and temperatures start to slip a little. So here's a confirmation of the dry, sunny conditions. Always the best of the sunshine for eastern Scotland, East Anglia as well. There is a little bit of rain around, but it's mainly through that central belt, Northern Ireland into northeast England, fairly light and patchy in nature, mild everywhere. Then tonight, more of the same, still some rain for that central swathe, dry with clear slots either side of that. Temperatures take a little bit of a tumble, down as low as 3 degrees. Maybe touches of mist and fog, possibly some frost as well, but localised in nature. Then as far as the Christmas weekend goes, dry, a little bit of sunshine around, but a little cooler as well. That's all from me.
Well, it's been great to have you with us. After the break, Alistair Stewart, we'll be looking back at 5 years of the News Channel, so don't go away. But from me, Owen Thomas and Faye, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Please keep these images to remind yourself what these animals looked like, because at the rate they're disappearing, they may soon be gone forever. But you could change the future today. Adopt an animal through WWF for £2.50 a month, and you can help ensure the survival of their entire species. Call 0800 316 4111 and you could adopt Etin, whose species numbers have halved. Or Malupoti, one of the last remaining Bengal tigers. Or Jushong, one of less than 1,600 wild pandas left on Earth. They all need your help to survive. So please call WWF on 0800 316 4111 to adopt an animal now. You can change the future today.